Hello, hello, hello. It's Lily and Riki here from Parent Support Network coming into you today with episode 22 of Parent Support Network TV. So today's topic is my teen has run away or threatening to. And the reason I'm coming on to discuss this today is I've actually had a couple of conversations with some families who have either had a teen run away or has a teen who is threatening to run away. And I know that from personal experience, I can certainly relate to how challenging that is and how stressful that is, not only for the parents, but for the child as well, because obviously they wouldn't be running away if they were happy or things were going well. So it's stressful for parents, particularly, us parents who believe we're doing all the right things and can't understand why our child is feeling that way. So I did actually look up online why do teens run away? And some of the examples or the reasons they've given here are there's a disagreement on something they feel strongly about. Running away can be a spur of the moment act following an argument. They may have intense feelings about something, and like anyone experiencing strong emotions, may have trouble communicating or negotiating what they want. So that could be, they've just had an argument with their parent or parents, and, they just lash out by saying, well, I'm running away. I don't want to be at home. I'm getting out of here type of thing, because they're perhaps not feeling validated. They're not feeling seen. They're not feeling acknowledged. They're not feeling like, that they're being recognised for the person they are, or that maybe they're just being recognised for all the negative things that are either happening or the parents perceive are happening. They might believe that running away will make parents realise they've made a mistake. So it could be a bit of payback for parents. If the kid feels or the child feels that the parent has been non-reasonable or not reasonable with them, they might either run away or threaten to run away as a kind of bit of payback maybe. They're afraid they're about to get into trouble, so they may have done something that they're worried that their parents are going to find out about. So rather than having to front up to that or acknowledge that, they just run away. They think that their home has too many rules and limits. They want to find somewhere else to live. And I think I understand this one, that kids sometimes feel like their parents don't understand them, that the parents have got, these certain rules and, things that limits and things that are put in place that they don't agree with, or that they find are too severe. And perhaps there's not any room for negotiation or compromise there, or they don't feel there is, if that makes sense. They don't like the situation at home with the parents. Could be a new partner, a step parent, a de facto, or step brothers and sisters. So the situation in the home may have changed. They may have been with one of the parents, and then all of a sudden things have changed. A new partner's come onto the scene. New step, parent, de facto, or step brothers or sisters that they may not get on with, or they may just not feel like their family is the way it should be. They could be trying to get away from a difficult situation like bullying at school, and they just, feel like they don't want to go to school. Their parents are making them go to school, so I'm just going to run away so I don't have to go to school. They could be depressed, have drug or mental health issues and need help. Or they could feel that home isn't safe, or there's something serious going wrong in their lives. So parents, for example, could be continually arguing, fighting, family violence, or they're being physically or sexually abused or neglected. So for whatever reason, some young people do genuinely feel unwanted and unloved at home. And when a child or a young person does run away, it is often a genuine cry out for help. So it does need to be taken seriously. So what's my take on this? I think that all of those reasons I just read through, they're valid. They could all be possible, reasons why a child would either run away or threaten to run away. And sometimes kids do a lot of threatening, but they don't actually run away because they're fearful of, what that involves. But they threaten that they want to run away because of some of, or several of those reasons. I know for me, when we were going through really, intense issues with our son, when he was a teen, particularly a young teen, 13, 14 years old. I know that my husband and I were doing a lot of upside down parenting. We didn't know what we didn't know. We did have the very best intentions in our heart, had all the love in our heart, wanted a great relationship with our son, but we really just, we weren't responding in the way that was most beneficial for our son and for our relationship. And I can remember, I've told this story before, but I can remember one of the biggest lessons I learned was when we got a phone call from the school, and we used to get many of them, right? This was, he would have been 15 and a half, or 15 and a few months. And we got this phone call from the school to say that our son had been in trouble yet again, that it was serious, that we needed to come up to the school to discuss it. He was going to be suspended and, all of this stuff. And I'm just listening, to all this negative. And oh, by the way, he's taken off. He's taken off and he's not at school. So this was my probably biggest blunder as a parent, my biggest example of upside down parenting, where when my son did get home from school, instead of asking him how his day went and being prepared to listen and, acknowledge his perspective of what happened, rather than me just take what the school said had happened as gospel, I didn't give him the opportunity. I went straight into energizing the negative. How could you? Why did you? What did you? These are the consequences. You're grounded. And with that, he said, I've had enough. Bleep, bleep, bleep. Use some choice words. I'm out of here. I don't want to be in this family. I don't want to be in this home. Like, I was reading between the lines a bit now, but nobody understands me. I don't even get a chance to explain myself. You go straight into judging me and thinking that I've done the wrong thing. I can just imagine all this stuff going around in his head, because I know you've probably heard this story before, but just in case you haven't, he actually went off and got himself into a pretty bad situation where he had consumed, let's say, a lot of alcohol and who knows what else. So over a few hours, he got himself into a situation where when we did find him several hours later, so maybe about 5 hours later, he was so out of it, he didn't know who he was, what his name was. He was just a blubbering mess in the gutter, literally in the gutter, lying in the gutter, couldn't walk, couldn't talk. And once again, as parents, sometimes we go straight to how could you do that, make such stupid decisions. What did you take? Why did you take it? But what about his feelings? What about why did he feel the need to do that to his body? And when I look back on it with so much remorse, I think about the fact that he didn't feel that his mum, his biggest supporter and fan, even asked him what happened or gave him the opportunity to share his perspective. I just went straight into ranting and raving and yelling and screaming and threatening. And I guess, I was feeling fed up because we got a lot of these, calls from the school. But, when I think about it, that's my son. At least ask him, what happened and be a sympathetic ear and allow him to voice his side of the story. So I understand how kids get to the point where they don't want to be at home because they really just don't feel heard. They don't feel acknowledged, even though they know they're loved. But I think sometimes kids think it's unconditional love that we parents give, because we will love them if they do this, or if they don't do that, or if they comply to this or cooperate in this way. But it's conditional, right? Because when those things aren't happening, we don't give them the acknowledgement and the recognition that they, otherwise would get. And I know that our parenting coach, Frank, when we were coaching with him when our son was a teen, he said if we don't have the time to really establish, positive relationships with our kids, then we should give them to someone who does. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that was a bit harsh. And he asked me a question one day. He actually said, Lillian, do you know how gangs are formed? And this is really relevant to this topic, because I'm like, well, I know what a gang is, but, where are you getting at? And he said, well, when a child or an adolescent or a teenager doesn't feel a part of a community, i.e., in this instance, family, like in the family unit, if they don't feel, seen, heard, recognized, if they don't feel like the adults in the home are giving them the opportunity to voice their thoughts and their opinions, or to even, if the adult in the house doesn't give them the opportunity to, to discuss things, if we don't acknowledge or recognize them for things that they are doing well, or even the steps towards them doing something well, the child just doesn't feel seen or heard. So what actually happens is they want to feel seen and heard. So they are vulnerable, I guess, in some respect, to being lured, if that's an appropriate word, into a gang of sorts, whether it be a street gang or a religious gang, or just a group of kids who are all in the same place, who make them feel like they're a part of something. And even if it's really negative, they could, get themselves involved in a group, or as Frank calls it, a gang, where the kids hurt people or steal or take drugs or sell drugs, or are violent, but they become a part of that gang because they feel like they're seen, they feel like they're a part of something, even if it's negative, even if it's a good, and normally a kid that's normally pretty good gets involved in this, they kind of feel a part of it. And sometimes in our home, even though we as parents love them, of course we love them and we want the best for them, but we don't make the child feel like they belong. They just feel like an outsider. They just feel like, my parents don't understand. They don't know where I'm coming from. They're not even prepared to listen to me. They're not even really prepared to talk to me and to discuss things with me. They just want it all their way, their rules, their regulations, their consequences for things that they think should happen in the home. And I guess by the time the child is 13, 14, 15 years old, they see themselves as more grown up, and and that they have opinions and thoughts about how things should be. So that's why I'm so passionate about the Nurtured Heart approach, because this is a way where we as parents and caregivers of children actually learn how to communicate and how to relationship with our kids, so that we are looking for the things that we want to grow. Because let's face it, nobody's perfect, not us adults, not us kids, but when we're looking at how we relationship and communicate with our kids, we need to ask ourselves, what is it that we want to grow? Do we want to grow the disrespect, the not cooperating, the breaking of the rules, the shouting, the yelling, the fighting? Are they things we want to grow? Or do we want to grow them being respectful, being cooperative, being kind and thoughtful, and a team player in the home? And often unintentionally, parents, we energize the things that we don't want to grow. So we give more energy to the children when they have broken a rule, when they've got in trouble at school, when they're not getting their homework done, when they're fighting with their siblings, when they're being disrespectful or rude. That's when we come in and give more of us. That's when we come in and give them so much energy and attention and connection. And then they get to learn that, okay, that's how I get connection from this adult in my life, from my parent or whoever the caregiver is. Whether it could be an educator, it could be a grandparent or a parent or a step parent, for example. So kids from a very young age learn how to get the best connection, how to get the best relationship. And the kids that come into this world who have a little bit more intensity, who kind of really demand attention, they learn from a very young age to get that connection and relationship when they do the wrong thing. And unfortunately, that becomes like a self-fulfilling prophecy. So the kid goes, okay, if I'm going to be bad, if I'm going to be disrespectful, I might as well do it well. I might as well be bad really well. I might as well be disrespectful really well. I might as well argue and be, non-compliant really well. So that's what happens with the kids who, had that intensity all along. And then sometimes there could be examples of kids who were compliant, cooperative, throughout, say, their 5 to 12-year-old, and then all of a sudden they become uncooperative and disrespectful, and and don't listen. And then the parents are like, well, what's going on? They used to follow the rules and do the right thing. Now all of a sudden they're revolting and breaking the rules, and what happened to my child? or sometimes the kids go, it's my turn, I've had enough. I remember Frank once again sharing a story with one of, because he used to actually coach, our parenting coach Frank used to coach with families of very challenging children, street kids, gang members, etc. So our family probably wasn't quite as tough as some of the families that he used to work with. And I remember him telling us this story, this particular family of a single mum with a young son. And the son, one day at age 14 or 15, managed to get hold of a machine gun, goodness knows how, that's another story, and literally shot up the whole house, shot up all the furniture. Luckily didn't use the gun on a human, but literally shot up the house and just went round and shut up the house. And when Frank actually got to talk to both the mother and the son, he got two different perspectives. So from the mother, it was like, I don't know what happened. My boy's always been a good boy. He's always done what he's been told. I've been able to control him. And then all of a sudden, he's just out of control. That was kind of like the mum's perspective. And then when Frank spoke to the son said, I'm sick of my mum trying to control me, tell me what to do, how to do it, when to do it, how high to jump. She's controlled me all of these years, and now I'm older, it's my turn. Now it's my turn to say I'm not going to be controlled anymore. So it wasn't necessarily that she was using parenting relationshiping techniques that attracted her son to want to be compliant and cooperative and follow the rules. It was because she ruled with an iron fist and controlled him. And then when he got to the point where he felt like he was big enough, strong enough, he said, now it's my turn. So it was an interesting story to hear the two different perspectives of the mum who, you know, had this child under control for all of these years, and then all of a sudden was out of control, was because that child said, now it's my turn. So if you have a child, a teen in your home who is showing symptoms of not being happy in the home and, you know, has threatened to run away, or maybe they have run away, or they're just saying they want to run away, or they don't want to be in this family, you know, think about, you know, why do you feel that the child feels that way? How are they feeling? You know, rather than focusing on the fact that the kid is, you know, is being challenging to you as parents, what is going through that child's mind? Why do they feel like they don't want to be a part of the home? If they felt like happy in the home, if they felt like they were seen and heard and acknowledged, and there was some compromise, you know, discussion, etc., I'm sure they wouldn't have those feelings. It's not to place blame on you, the parent, because when I think back, you know, even though I made a lot of mistakes, I know I'm a good parent, I know I'm a good loving parent, but I just made a lot of mistakes. But, you know, think about what's going on in your home and why is the child feeling the way the child's feeling. Because to me, it really comes down to connection and relationship. And it doesn't matter how challenging things are, things can get better. And I'll close with this story. I could talk about this topic for so long, but when I wrote my third book, The Revolting Child, A Blessing in Disguise, I know once again you may have heard this story before, but for the benefit of those who haven't, I'll share it again. I did a book launch after I'd written the book. So I wrote the book in 6 weeks. It was a very quick write. And I did a book launch, and my son was invited to the book launch, and he was a bit reticent. He didn't probably really want to be there, but he went to support me because he knew how passionate I was about sharing this with others. And anyway, at the end of our talk, in the Q&A, a man actually put his hand up and asked if he could ask our son a question. And I just, you know, looked to the back of the room, and he kind of, you know, shrugged his shoulders and said, oh, I don't know, I guess so. And anyway, with that, the man asked the question, and what he said was so profound. He said, simple but profound. He said, we've just heard, you know, the story that your parents have told us. We've heard where things were just, you know, 10 months ago. You were kicked out of school, you know, they found you in the gutter. All of that stuff happened only 10 months ago. And we've heard about, you know, where, you know, you're healing and where things are at now. So what was it that kind of took you from where you were back 10 months ago to where you are today? And my ears literally were like, I need to know the answer to this question. And I could see my son just contemplating for a few seconds. And what he said has impacted me so hugely. in a positive way. He said, when I saw the effort that my mum and dad went to be the very best parents they could be, I just wanted to be the best son. Let that sink in, guys. I mean, now, you know, so that was 15, so 13 years later, 13, 14 years later, he's still at home. He hasn't run away from home yet. He still lives with us. We share this home together. We sit down and have meals together. Not only does he still live with us, but his partner lives with us. They have a beautiful dog, Hazel, who's a part of our family. So we have actually really turned things around to the point where not only did he not run away at 15 or 16, but at nearly 29, he's still at home. So for some of you, you might be thinking, oh, that's not such a positive thing. But for me, I love the fact that, you know, that we still get on so well and that we still respect each other so much that we can live in the same home cooperatively, harmoniously. We sit down and, as I said, and have meals together every night. We talk, we discuss, we acknowledge and praise each other for our efforts and the things that we're doing. And we are interested in each other. We hang out together. We go on picnics together. We go camping together. You know, we do things as a family, like we live our own lives as well. But, you know, the effort that my husband and I and my family made have certainly paid off. So if you have a child, or if you're in a situation in your family where it is stressful, where you feel, you know, your child is not happy, or they've maybe threatened to run away, or they don't want to be at home, please reach out. I'd love to have a chat with you. We are about to start a new course for parents who are really committed to changing their relationships. It's going to be a 24-week course, because we've come to the conclusion that what I teach really takes a lot of ongoing, not only learning, but encouraging and discussing and you know, and just helping you to really understand how to switch the way you communicate in relationship and the way you speak. So think of it as coming to learn a whole new language. So if you're keen to learn more, or if you want to have a chat to hear about what I'm doing, or what the next course is going to be about, please do reach out. I'm happy to catch up for a complimentary chat with you. Actually, I've just literally launched a new website. Well, it's the same website, but it's completely different. It's just, I've changed to a new provider. I've just had a great young guy put it together for me at parentsupportnetwork.com.au. Go and check it out. You can actually book in your 30-minute consult on there. So give that a go, or just message me directly. But I'd love to chat with you. This is something that I'm super, super passionate about. So thank you so much for tuning in today. I hope you've got something out of the talk today. And if you're thinking, I don't have any challenges, you know, my kids are fine, if they're, you know, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 years old, trust me, this is information that is so vital for you to understand, regardless of whether you've got a, you know, a 1-year-old, 11-year-old, or a 21-year-old. This is information and value for everybody who wants to have amazing, connected, and, you know, beautiful, loving, fulfilling relationships. So that's it from me, Lillian Reiki, parenting strategist from Parent Support Network, coming in today with episode 22 of Parent Support Network. I look forward to hearing your feedback on today's discussion, and until next week, bye for now.